You've spent weeks, maybe even months, prepping your next campaign. The world is built, the villain is properly menacing, and your first adventure is ready to go. But there's one question that everyone, and I mean everyone, has a strong opinion on. Do you really need a session 0? All the popular advice says it's absolutely essential. But let's be honest, it can feel like a total waste of precious time when you and your players are just itching to roll some dice. So, is a session 0 the secret key to a long-lasting campaign? Or is it the most overhyped piece of advice in the TTRPG space? Today, we're cutting through the noise to figure out if skipping session 0 will make or break your next adventure. Let's get right to it. The number one killer of TTRPG campaigns isn't a Tarrasque. It's not even a cursed deck of many things. And it's not even a brutal TPK. The number one killer of campaigns is something much quieter. Mismatched expectations. It's the player who walks in with a grimdark, brooding rogue ready for a campaign of political assassinations, only to discover you're running a lighthearted adventure where the main villain is a goose who stole a magical bell. It's the game master who spends hours crafting intricate political lore, only to find out their players just want to kick indoors and collect loot. When what the players want doesn't line up with what the GM is running, the campaign is doomed. And that's where the argument for session 0 really starts. Think of it less as a boring meeting and more as an insurance policy. A couple of hours spent talking things out can save you from dozens of hours in a campaign that slowly, painfully fizzles out. It's the tool that helps turn a random group of individuals into a cohesive party that's actually excited for the same adventure. So what do you actually get out of it? Why is this one session so widely recommended? It really comes down to 5 huge benefits that a good session 0 helps establish. Win number 1, getting everybody on the same page. This is the big one. A session 0 is your chance to align the tone. Is this a gritty, serious game or a funny beer and pretzels romp? How much roleplay versus combat should everyone expect? You get to discuss the campaign's main themes and the kinds of adventures they'll face. This completely avoids that jarring moment when one player is ready for Game of Thrones and another one is trying to play Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Win number 2, building a fellowship, not just a party. A party of adventurers with no reason to travel together will sooner or later drift apart. Session 0 lets players create their characters together. They can weave their backstories into each other's, creating shared histories or common goals. Maybe the fighter or the cleric served in the same platoon, or the wizard was the rogue's childhood friend. These built-in connections create a group that feels like a team from the jump, and it helps kill that classic TTRPG problem, the lone wolf character who has no real reason to stick around. Win number 3, creating a safe table for epic stories. Great TTRPGs are all about collaborative storytelling, and for that to happen, everyone at the table needs to feel comfortable. Session 0 is the perfect time to establish boundaries and talk about safety tools. These are simple things like an X card that let any player pause the game if a topic is making them uncomfortable, no questions asked. You can talk about hard limits, things that are off the table completely, and soft limits, things that are okay but should be handled with care. This isn't about censorship, it's about respect. It makes the game stay fun for everyone and prevents real-world issues from derailing your fantasy adventure. Win number 4, clearing up the rules. Every GM runs their game a little differently. Do you use a milestone leveling or track every point of XP? Are there any homebrew rules or banned spells? Session 0 is where you make all of that crystal clear. It heads off arguments mid-game that start because a player assumed a rule worked one way when you run it another. And for new players, it's a fantastic, low-pressure way to get a handle on the basics before being thrown into a stressful combat encounter. Win number 5, turning players into co-authors. Finally, a session 0 gives your players a real sense of ownership over the world. When you involve them in the creation process, they get way more invested. Ask them questions about their characters' hometowns, the guilds they belong to, or rivals they might have. Their answers become part of your world, giving them a solid connection to the setting. When a player feels like they've helped build the world, they're going to be a lot more motivated to explore and protect it. Of course, if session 0 was a perfect fix for everything, this wouldn't even be a debate. There are some very valid reasons why groups are hesitant to run one. There's the time commitment. Just scheduling a group of adults for a regular game can feel like a Herculean task. Adding another meeting to the calendar can feel like a waste of a precious evening where you could, actually be playing. A lot of players just want to jump into the action. and a 2-hour discussion can feel more like talking about D&D than actually playing it. Second, you risk information overload. For new players especially, a session 0 can feel like a fire hose of information. Drowning them in lore before they even rolled a d20 is overwhelming, and odds are, they won't remember most of it by the time session 1 rolls around anyway. Third, it's not just necessary for every group. If you're playing a quick one-shot, or you're with an established group that's been gaming together for years, you probably already know each other's styles and what everyone wants. In those cases, a full session 0 can feel redundant, like something that could have just been an email. And finally, a bad session 0 can do more harm than good. If it's just a rigid top-down lecture from the GM, or it becomes a forced, awkward conversation about personal boundaries, it can completely kill the excitement before the campaign even gets off the ground. Quick pause. If this is helping, hit like. And if you want more DM advice that actually makes your table run smoother, subscribe. And if you want the tools I use to make campaigns click fast, check out my Gumroad. The 5-faction star web helps you set up factions that naturally collide, so your campaign has direction without railroading. And the dungeon stocking card is my no blank rooms cheat sheet for building dungeons that feel alive in minutes. Links are in the description and pinned comment. Alright, back to whether session 0 is actually necessary. It shouldn't be a 4-hour lecture. It needs to be focused, interactive, and believe it or not, fun. First, keep it short. Aim for 2 hours tops. Try to handle logistics like scheduling and snacks in a group chat beforehand. Second, make it a conversation, not a presentation. Instead of just dumping a wall of text about your world's history, give a quick, exciting pitch about the campaign's tone and main conflict. Then ask your players what they think. What kind of game are they hoping to play? What are their characters' personal goals? Use their answers to guide the discussion. Third, make character creation a group activity. Encourage everyone to bounce ideas off each other. This is where you build those crucial party connections, and it's honestly one of the most engaging parts of Session 0. And fourth, this is the most important part, actually play the game a little. Don't let the whole session be talk. Run a short, simple combat encounter or small role-playing scenario. This gives players a chance to test drive their new characters, practice the rules, and see how the party clicks. This Session 0.5 approach is the perfect bridge between discussion and true adventure, and it gets everyone hyped for Session 1. So, back to the big question. Should you start your campaign with a Session 0? While it might not be strictly necessary for every single group, it is one of the most powerful tools you have for setting a campaign up for long-term success. Most of the downsides, like wasting time or overwhelming players, aren't flaws in the idea itself, they're symptoms of a poorly run session. When it's done right, a Session 0 isn't a waste of time. It's an investment. It aligns everyone's expectations, helps build a cohesive party, it makes sure everyone is comfortable, and it gets your players personally invested in the story you're about to tell together. It transforms the start of a campaign from chaotic scramble into a confident first step on what could be a legendary journey. So what's your take? Is Session 0 an absolute must-have for your games? Or do you have a different way of getting your campaign started? Let us know your best tips and your horror stories in the comments below. We'd love to hear how you lay the groundwork for your adventures. And if this was helpful, you know what to do. Ultimately, Session 0 is about building a strong foundation for your campaign. And a strong foundation is the difference between a story that crumbles after a few sessions and one that becomes a legend. Alright, so whether you do Session 0 or not, the real goal is the same. Get everyone playing the same game on night 1 without overplanning it. Now click the simplest D&D system that actually works better right here, because it gives you a dead simple way to run the table that prevents half the Session 0 problems in the first place.